For the first time since trading Mitchell and Gobert, it feels like the Jazz are starting to move in the right direction. Between the building out of their young core and an active offseason, things are starting to look interesting for Utah. But what can we actually expect from them in 2026, and what can we make of their future? Last season from the Jazz was a pretty clear tanking effort, as they rode the coattails of a number 30 defense to a 17-65 record, good for dead last. Throughout all of that losing though, you could see Will Hardy continuing to be an innovative offensive mind. However, instead of prioritizing winning now and leaning into their veterans, they focused on the development of their young core, and there's a lot to like. Keontae George and Isaiah Collier gave them two different looks at the point guard. George was a more perimeter-oriented creator, operating out of high pick and roll, hunting for the pull-up jumper, and pressuring defenses from outside, while Collier was more of a downhill creator, playing an early offense, getting 2 feet in the paint at will, and producing some really impressive numbers as a playmaker. He ended the season averaging nearly 9 assists every 75 possessions, which was the 5th most of any rookie in the 21st century. Then on the wing, Bryce Sensabaugh emerged as an incredibly impressive sophomore scorer. He was the only player in the NBA to attempt at least 9 threes every 75 possessions while making over 42% of them. And he paired that with an impressive in-between game to reach heights that not many second-year players hit, averaging over 19 points per 75 on 61% true shooting. Then finally, in the middle, Kessler logged some great minutes as a primary rim protector, while rookie Kyle Filipowski had some incredible flashes of offensive versatility between his ability to shoot, handle the ball, pass, and attack mismatches in the post. All that's to say, even though they won just 17 games, you could really feel that sense of direction from the Jazz. And they followed that up with an active offseason. By getting rid of Sexton and Clarkson, they're clearing up the backcourt for their young guards. And they did the same in the front court by trading John Collins. Their big addition? Rookie Ace Bailey. As a lengthy 6'7", 19-year-old dynamic forward, Ace is an incredibly interesting prospect. Because while he hasn't shown the playmaking chops or downhill shot creation to really be the focal point of an offense, what he has shown are some really impressive complementary skills. Between his size, athleticism, touch, and overall shot-making ability, he has the potential to develop into an incredibly dynamic off-the-catch weapon. It's the defensive side of things with Ace that's most intriguing though. He's quick enough to defend on the perimeter and switch down, but he's also lengthy and athletic enough to match up with bigger forwards or even offer serious secondary rim protection. If he can add some weight while maintaining his twitchiness and everything pans out, that's the type of two-way wing that could be a serious building block. With that said though, he'll clearly be at his best playing off of another playmaker or lead creator, and that's why I love Utah's roster construction. Along with basketball and content creation, another big passion of mine is the gym, and between working out, watching sports, and pumping out these videos, I really don't have time to cook for myself. Fast food is always an option, but that doesn't exactly align with my goals in the gym, so imagine when I found out about Factor. With Factor, in just a matter of 2 minutes, I can get a fully prepared meal on the table without worrying about preparation, cooking, or cleaning up. Just simply unbox, heat it up, and enjoy. The meals are fresh, never frozen, and there's a ton of variety. Maybe I want a high protein meal. Maybe I want calorie smart. Maybe I'm craving seafood. And Factor gives me the freedom to both choose and customize the meals. Eating clean has never been easier for me since signing up for Factor, and that's why I'm super excited to partner up with them to bring you guys a special offer. Head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use code HoopVenueFB50 to get 50% off plus free breakfast for a year. You heard that right. That's code HoopVenueFB50 at Factor75.com for 50% off plus free breakfast for an entire year. Earlier, I talked about Isaiah Collier's ability to get downhill and find the open man. But I can't stress enough how much of a superpower this is. He's got that rare combination of size, strength, and explosive burst that makes it nearly impossible for defenses to keep him out of the paint. And I think at his peak, he'll be widely viewed as one of the best passers on the planet. So even if nothing else develops in his game, it feels like his floor is a high-level table setter that can put a guy like Ace Bailey in the right spots to succeed. His ceiling? Well, that's really interesting because as of right now, he's shown no indication whatsoever of a jumper outside of 10 feet, and with no mid-range or three-point shot, there isn't much room for him to take that next step as a scorer. With the Jazz though, they might just have enough shooting and scoring by his side to not need much else. I'm not sure if you caught Lauri Markkanen's performance in Eurobasket, but he looks more than ready for another one of those 25 point per game type of seasons. And when he's healthy, he's simply one of the most dynamic off-ball scorers in the league, capable of shooting on the move, attacking closeouts, and getting above the rim as a legit 7-footer. he's still only 28 years old, so it's not like he's completely off the timeline, and he's the exact type of forward you'd want in a lineup that features a guard like Collier. As for the ideal backcourt partner, well, an actualized version of Bryce Sensabaugh feels pretty close. He's an efficient, high-volume three-point shooter who can beat closeouts and score in a variety of ways. And if he can find ways to leverage his strength into more downhill opportunities, we'd flat out be talking about one of the best scorers in the league. Ace, Lowry, and Sensabaugh all space the floor, all have 20-point per game potential, all can score in a variety of ways, yet lack the playmaking to consistently initiate offense. But I want you to think about the way Utah's played under Will Hardy. Tons of down screens, tons of movement, putting guys in positions to play off the catch instead of from a standstill. Now, who better to set the table for a flurry of off-the-catch weapons than an elite passer who can get 2 feet in the paint at will? What's interesting though is that they've also got the flexibility to get playmaking from their 5 through sophomore Kyle Filipowski. At 6'11", he can shoot the 3 ball with volume, he's a good enough ball handler to attack the rim, he's a decent passer who sees the floor well, and he's got a really nice post game. So at his peak, he could be one of those bigs who just completely opens up everything for an offense. You could run action through him up top, you could use him to attack switches, you could run pick and pop, or put him in the slot to space the floor. And all that's to say, it might take a few years, but the Jazz have a surplus of young, raw offensive talent. The problem is that some of these guys might not be able to survive at the NBA level defensively. I'm not worried about Collier long term because he's got the tools to be effective as long as he's engaged. Sensabaugh, though, really struggles to do much of anything as he isn't quick enough to pick up guards or big enough to pick up forwards and doesn't really leverage his length into any sort of value away from the ball. The same goes for Filipowski. He lacks the length, verticality, and overall skill set to be a solid rim protector, while also not having enough speed to switch onto smaller players. So for all of the offensive talent with both of these guys, there's still a question mark of whether or not they'll even be able to survive playoff basketball with offenses actively looking to exploit them on the other side of the ball. Luckily for Utah, they've got a backup plan. I haven't even talked about their current starting center, Walker Kessler, who was already a really good defender the moment he stepped into the league. He's widely recognized as a high-level rim protector, but he's also shown the versatility to do a little bit more, and on offense, he's got a real simple role. He's primarily asked to either rim run or space the floor vertically, and he played really well within that role last year, leading the league in offensive rebounds and making 66% of his shots. They've also got some sneaky defensive depth on the wings. Taylor Hendricks only played 3 games in his sophomore season, and if he's able to stay healthy, he could turn into a big-time defensive chess piece. He's big, athletic, and protects the rim while being agile enough to switch onto the perimeter, and he can really play any position from 3 to 5 on either side of the ball. Cody Williams didn't have the greatest rookie campaign, but he's another big, tooly wing who could turn into a versatile defender with the right development. In simpler terms, the Jazz have a lot of young guys who cover a wide range of skills, and if a few of their younger projects boom, all of a sudden they're looking really good. Right now, these guys are more specialists, and it'll be interesting to see how Will Hardy uses each piece. If they need shooting, maybe Keontae George or rookie Walter Clayton Jr. takes some of those point guard minutes from Collier. If they need defense, maybe Taylor Hendricks takes some of those wing minutes from Sensabaugh. If they need more offensive versatility, maybe Filipowski takes some of Kessler's minutes, or they go double big, or even triple big with Lowry at the 3. And I think it's that lineup versatility that makes things so interesting for them moving forward. They've got size, they've got playmaking, they've got shooting. The question is how much of that can translate to one lineup. Right now, they've got at least 5 guys in their rotation who are either non-factors defensively or drive almost all of their value in offense. Then they've got another few who are more so defensive specialists, and barring outlier development, it does feel like they're missing players who add value on both sides of the ball. The other thing they're missing is a true franchise cornerstone. I'd actually say they're doing everything right in terms of the rebuilding process. They've got a surplus of raw but talented young players, an innovative coach, and instead of just stacking those young guys to see what works, they've gone out and grabbed some awesome vets like Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, George Niang, and Yusuf Nurkic. It really feels like the only thing they're lacking is somebody with serious superstar potential, which would immediately vault them into one of the best situations in basketball. And lucky for them, they should have a chance to grab one in a stacked 2026 draft class. Because pretty much everything I've talked about should be viewed in a forward-looking lens, and the reality is that only a couple of these guys are legitimate impact players right now. So they'll be one of the worst offensive and defensive teams in the league. I'd honestly be shocked if they win more than 20 games. That's not necessarily a bad thing though. Their 2026 pick is protected as long as it's in the top 8 and there's loads of talent coming in. So who knows? Maybe they don't get lucky, maybe their current prospects don't pan out, and the Jazz find themselves in an awkward spot. Or maybe the surplus of young talent swings in the right direction, they hit on a lottery pick, and all of a sudden we're looking at a golden age of basketball in the state of Utah.